This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
Think about this for a moment. You spend time with your dog, your cat, your pet, and you just feel better. And there's some people that, you see memes on social media, sometimes even a bumper sticker that says, I like my pet better than humans. Well, it's therapy. You're getting therapy from your pet, whether you realize it or not. You're feeling better. Your blood pressure lowers. It's a magical thing that takes place. Now amp that up and harness the power of that on a sanctuary with 88 plus different animals. And that's Scattered Joy Acres, which is a unique sanctuary that harnesses the healing power of animals in Nebraska. And she's the woman behind it. Joy Bartling joins us on the program. How you doing again?
Good morning. We're doing good. Another day to make people happy.
You've got so much going on. First of all, you have this wonderful place where people from the community come to enjoy animals. You got people that travel from other states for hours just to be at your sanctuary. And then you also do therapy in many different forms using animals, helping people. You have lots of programs. We've never really dug into those programs. Can we hit that up today?
Sure. That would be great to expand on just, the generic of just animal assisted therapy. We do have programs underneath of that umbrella as well.
What are some of the programs?
So we have our Be Somebody program, which is a character education program. It's actually built off of attitude, integrity, grit, and purpose. In today's age, a lot of kids have, or individuals have entitlement issues. And so we actually go back to the code of the West and we have a code of ethics. And the first one is live each day with courage.
Hmm.
The second one is take pride in your work. The third one is always finish what you start. The fourth one is do what has to be done. The fifth one is be tough but fair. The sixth one is when you make a promise, keep it. 7 is ride for the brand. 8 is talk less and say more, which is kind of a challenge sometimes in this world.
Mm-hmm.
9 is remember that some things aren't for sale.
Mm-hmm.
And 10 is know where to draw the line. And so this program focuses on, we have an elementary version and we have a secondary. We've also used this program in doing team building for corporations as well. It's just a vision of it comes off of Owen. He's out of Texas. He wrote a book called Cowboy Values. And, when we started our world many years ago, it was cowboys and Indians. And, those cowboy values, they were the heart of this country. And so if we can teach those individuals to go back to those 10 principles, and the questions that we ask them is, what do you believe? Who do you believe? And how does my life show it?
Hmm. I find it interesting how a lot of these principles, the 10, even that you mentioned, it's almost like the golden rule that our parents told us. The
Right.
majority, I would say probably minimum 7 out of those 10 are stuff that you always heard, piloted you from a kid to an adult. It's just the way
Right.
life should be.
The way life should be. And so, yeah, we go back to those code of ethics, which they're called,
Hmm.
how we were parented, where some of that is lacking in today's, generations. They weren't instilled. Um, we're not given a manual when we have kids on how to raise them. And so we use what
Hmm.
we know, how we were brought up, and not everybody is brought up the same. And so,
Yep.
you do with the best you know.
It's do with my mom always said, do the best with what you have. Well, that also was what she taught me to be a parent. Because parents, you don't realize it as a kid, but they're teaching you what you should be doing as a parent. Whether you agree with it or not, we're still doing it. Um, I guess they call it generational. Um,
Right.
the cowboy part of that, let's dig back into that.
Sure.
How does that connect?
Um, because cowboys didn't have all the stuff that we have these days. And so when we do this program, there's a lot of pushback from the individuals when we go into sessions because cowboys didn't have cell phones. We didn't have communication. We had to use what we have in the arena or in our therapy session to be able to communicate. And what it helps them to understand is just what it's called. Let's be somebody, be who you are, not what this device is or the
Mm.
computers or, that's not who we are. We were created all individually. And we're able to go back and use our feelings, our touch, our seeing, all of our senses to understand who we are. We want to be somebody. We don't want to be a follower. Um, we want to be a leader, and we want others to understand who we are in this world that we live in.
Comparison steals your joy. And I'm not using that word joy just because
Right?
it's
Yep,
the
I
name,
gotcha.
the
Yep,
sanctuary or your name, but I've heard that most recently, and it's true. It takes away everything when you start comparing yourself to others because you're not them. You don't even
right,
know their whole full situation. Like we know, social media, most of it is a facade. It's you're seeing what people want you to see, not really what's actually going on. So why would you want to compare yourself to that?
right. Well, and we go back to the questions. What do you believe?
Hmm.
Why do you believe it? And how does it show in your life? And so we do that through learning sessions that we do. They're activities, they're writing, discussions, and the groups, work together to seek a solution. And we have a lot of people that like to be individual. And so we have to understand that life is not about ourselves. It takes a team to get something done. So one of the games we have is called Hot Chocolate River. And so what we do is we have this imaginary hot chocolate river, and we have carpet tiles. And these carpet tiles is what you use to cross it. So you have to put the carpet tile down and you step on it. You can't ever pick your foot up because then your carpet tile flows away down the stream, right? So you have to work with your teammates. If I'm getting ready to lift my foot up, you need to put your foot on it before I lift mine and move it to the next tile. And so sometimes that's kind of complicated and they lose a lot of tiles and can't get across the can't get across the river. Um, and so working together as a team, sitting in a circle with a coffee can and how do we get the coffee can without using our hands around the circle? So they have to learn with their feet, how to get it in one's foot. How do you hold it so you can put it in the other person's foot? Hula hoop, you can take a hula hoop and hold hands and get it through the circle. Strategizing, coming up with a solution as a team to get the task done.
In this exercise, are you allowed to sit down?
Depends on the game.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm just visual how I would move the the object. I'd have to be sitting down with my feet to kind of place it where you want it to go.
right.
Um, or maybe you could grab it with your 2 feet and hop. I don't know, but simple,
But
simple, but
usually,
a
yeah,
challenge.
usually that game you're sitting in chairs in a circle.
Okay.
And so, but you can't drop the can either. The can can't hit the floor and you can't use your hands.
So you're really
So
relying on others.
you're relying on others, but you're also relying, we've had people, no, you need to do it this way. No, you need to do it, what's going to work best in that situation to do it together.
And as simple as this sounds, there's many major principles that are being used here. like even the interaction with others of people telling you how they think it should be done. You may
Hmm.
have a belief. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on here.
Again,
Hmm.
number two, question number two, why do I believe it? Was it because grandma told me that's how we need to do things? Is it because I seen it on, YouTube or something like that? Why do you believe that that's the way it should be done?
Hmm. Hmm. That's a deeper one.
Yeah,
I'm going to say probably from your upbringing. A lot of that is, and you don't even know it. It's in your
you don't even know it
subconscious
because it comes off of what you're grown up with. Yeah, what you're
experience.
taught as you grow up. Exactly. Yeah.
Hmm. Do you believe that a lot of what pilots us as adults is what we experience as kids? Call it between the ages of, I don't know, 0 and 7, 0 and 10, somewhere around there.
Oh, I do believe everything is instilled as, you know, what do they call that? Those are the learning years where, kids soak in so much. And so it's very important that what they're soaking up is real to them. I mean, it may not be right, but it's real to what they know because that's what they see. Visual, you know, we have a few animals here that are visually impaired. And I went, when our first animal came in that was a vision impaired, it really taught me that as humans, we really trust our eyesight, and our eyesight is not always what we see. It's very deceiving. And so when that first blind animal, and I believe God brought that animal in here in a time in my life when I needed to close my eyes more and trust my other senses. And so we use a lot of our therapy sessions now. We will blindfold individuals and allow them to walk around the ranch or whatever, because, blind people, blind animals, they use their true senses. The first thing they use is their hearing.
Mm,
What you hear is true. You hear the fire sirens, you hear the dogs, you hear the chirping of the birds, and smell. Smell, you can smell the things around you. And so if we lose that sense, it heightens up the other senses to be able to understand. And so we close the vision because vision is not always true. Doesn't mean that's what you see. And it really allows people to look deeper within themselves and realize that what they see is not what is there.
it's it's almost doesn't do us justice, this phrase, seeing is believing.
Yeah.
Really, maybe not. And I recently read a short bio. It just showed up in a feed somewhere, and I got sucked into it about Helen Keller and the
Okay. Yep.
challenges that she went through, and not just the loss of eyesight, but other senses, and how she piloted her life through. But it was also with the help of a nurse, a companion that was with her, as she was growing up. But yeah, I'm amazed. You look at people like Stevie Wonder, blind since a small child, a baby, if I
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
correctly.
very small child. Yeah.
And look
Yes.
look what he has achieved, and the creative genius, and has a sense of the world but never saw the world. Just
Hmm.
amazing how that can be done. But like you said, other senses pick up.
Right. And probably had a better visual of the world than people who actually see it.
Point. Yeah. Because he's truly experiencing it in a different way, as opposed to, it's almost like spreading it thin with every sense. But now you take
Right.
one away, and now the other ones are hyper focused on it. Um, how do you make a determination, Joy, of what animals to take in? You must get pinged, hit up, approached so many times with people that have animals that um, they can't keep anymore, they found, et cetera, et cetera. It's got to be a challenging situation to be in.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we can't take them all.
Sure. Yeah.
But we have over the last couple years, when those situations come up, we offer a different approach. Like you keep your friend and we'll help try to find a home for that individual. Like we'll post on our website if you have to rehome your dog, and things like that, because we can't bring everything in. And because we have such a great following of individuals on our social media, um, probably I would say 90% of those dogs or animals that we cannot bring in, we're able to help facilitate with the owners through our social media, through our website, find placement for those new individuals. But yeah, placing animals in our therapy sessions is also a challenge. Sometimes you don't always, if people are scared of horses, you're not going to put them in with a big horse, one of our draft horses or something like that. So, um, we start small and work our way up, and as they build confidence within themselves, then we move on to the next animal, or they just let us, hey, I want to try that. Okay, let's go try it.
I never thought of it in that way. You are the go-to in your area, and for miles and miles and miles around it, um, you're the connector. When somebody has an animal, connecting them with other people that might want to adopt them. So essentially, you support somebody, I guess, in a way, fostering that animal until a home is found.
Right.
Well,
Yeah. And when COVID happened, the pandemic happened, everybody, not everybody, but it seemed like a lot of people adopted animals,
yes.
because they were home and they could, have a companion animal. And really, those animals suffered because they didn't get socialized. And so then, when everything was kind of loosened up a little and life got somewhat back to normal, a lot of those dogs ended up back in shelters because they had behavioral issues. And
Oh.
they weren't socialized. They had bites and they just weren't the dogs that they needed to be. But it also was very frustrating. Those dogs were there for you when you wanted them during the pandemic. And now that your life is going back to somewhat, normal, there is no normal, but, activities have started over again, then the dog is an inconvenience. That's a family member. And so it was very frustrating.
Hmm.
And some of those dogs, if shelters got full, rescues got full quickly, they were just letting these animals go on the road. I mean, we had a couple dogs on our just left out in front of our facility wandering down the road. And I know one of them, I stopped. I was coming home from picking up supplies or something, and it was dusk, and I see this dog walking, and I was like, well, wait, that's not the neighbor's dog. And I stopped and I said, "Here, puppy." He was a dog, and he comes up to me, and he has a collar on, and he has a baggie tied to his collar with a note in it telling us his name. He's been vaccinated. I just can't care for him anymore. Please find him a good home. So
I have no
sad.
words. And, you made a commitment. There are some that believe, I'm just sharing what some believe, that even parents of children, short of any kind of abuse with, their partner, you shouldn't get divorced. You made a decision for the child. Figure it out. I'm just sharing
Hmm.
what I've heard from some that it's like throwing your child or children under an emotional bus. By getting divorced, you made a commitment. Follow through on your commitment. I guess you look at it, animals in that situation. You wanted that animal during COVID. All right, situations changed. Well, you have to you have to adapt to it as well. Instead of putting a baggie around the collar of a dog and just dropping it off somewhere.
Right.
No words.
But you know what? That dog he was amazing. He actually is a therapy dog in a memory support center at a senior facility right now and doing amazing.
Wow,
So
and
they always
probably
say,
getting 50 times the amount of love there than maybe he
as he
might have been
did
getting home.
before. Yep. Yeah.
Mm,
So usually they have happy stories, but they have their trauma that they go through too. I can't even imagine what he was thinking. His owner throws him out on the road and takes off, and here I am wandering down the road, have no idea where I'm going in life, which a lot.
I don't even want to talk about this because it's heartbreaking. You know, how somebody can, like, no words. I just, uh, last question for today, just about out of time.
Yep.
I've never asked you this question. 88 plus animals in your sanctuary. Um, do you have favorites? Or does the favorite, some people say when you have children that, you know, one week you have a favorite, next week you have a different favorite. Maybe you don't want to admit it to your kids, maybe to coworkers. Um, or is it like they're all your children and you love them equally?
They are all my children and I love them equally. They don't always get the same attention as some of them. You know, right now we have some babies and of course they get more attention than some of the bigger ones, but yeah, we love them all the same.
Mm.
And you're probably right. Some days some are more favorites than others because they act up and they they do things that they shouldn't, you know. Yes, yesterday the fallow deer, you know, they somebody was in cleaning and you have to put the padlock back on because they know how to take their antlers and push the little gate latch up and they were wandering out, you know. So, you everybody not a good day for them.
It's funny though.
Guys,
Did you see that story about the cat in Florida? This is last week, who was in a facility. I don't know if it was a shelter or a vet's office, had some surgery, just wasn't having it and broke out and traveled 2.7 miles back home, like on the road. Just, I'm out of here. And they even have
yeah,
video security cameras of the cat just busting out like an inmate and found its way home. Found its way
homeward
home.
bound, just
Yeah,
like the movie Homeward
homeward
Bound.
bound. Wow. Joy, wonderful talking with you. Always is. And everything that you do there is just amazing. What's the website for the sanctuary?
It is scatteredjoyacres.org. That's scatterjoyacres.org.
Thank you for today. Lots of insight on the website. And certainly if you're not in the Nebraska area, but if it resonates with somebody, if they check you out, um, you're a nonprofit too. So
Yeah,
looking for
there's always
support.
ways to support us. Yeah, we even have a page where you could sponsor an animal. So if you have a favorite animal, you know, if you want to sponsor a Cotamundee or a sloth, we have links there that you can support them as well.
Awesome. Part of my takeaway today is don't forget the padlock.
Don't forget the padlock. Yep. And to be
Awesome.
somebody. Be
Yeah.
somebody today.
Be somebody. Yes. Love. This is my mantra. Love everyone.
There
Trust
you
few. Unfortunately, in my journey, I have to put that one in there. Do the right thing for all, not just yourself, but do the right thing for all. Go to the website, check it out. Joy, thank you for today.
Thank you. See you next
Appreciate
time.
it. You got it.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.